If you spend enough time in the knife world and in this hobby, something strange starts to happen because every new release begins to just look like the last one. There might be a different logo, a different blade steel, maybe even a new lock like a crossbar lock, a liner lock, or even a top liner lock, but the overall design, it all starts to blur together. So running this channel, I see hundreds of knives every year between review samples, new releases, and just endlessly scrolling through dealer websites and pocket dumps on Instagram. It takes quite a lot for a knife to actually make me stop scrolling. And then I came across this company, and they're called Auxiliary Manufacturing. And the first thing that caught my eye wasn't even their knives. It was actually their logo. Kind of had this small shop, custom maker vibe that immediately made me curious. And to be honest, it just looked cool as hell. And then I looked at the knives themselves, and safe to say, these don't look like anything else out there. This signature coffin-inspired handle shape kind of gives them a silhouette that's pretty instantly recognizable, and in a market where so many folders feel like just slight variations of each other, this is honestly so refreshing. So today we're checking out two of their models to see if they're all style or if they actually live up to the hype. So let's get into it. Today, Auxiliary Manufacturing offers everything from traditional slip joints like this one here to more modern crossbar lock folders and even fixed blades. So there's a little something for just about everybody. But for this video today, I mainly wanted to focus on their two flagship designs, the micro slip joint right here and also their signature Framelock. But before we dive into these knives themselves, I think it's actually worth talking about the company behind them because it isn't some big, massive production brand. It's actually the work of just one single maker, Michael Jarvis. And quick spoiler, he could not be a more nicer guy. So quick background per their site. Michael actually spent more than 15 years working in restaurants before a family situation gave him the opportunity to pursue a hobby that had slowly turned into something much bigger. And when actually what started with making pry bars, this eventually evolved into knives like these here. And in 2016, he and his wife set up a dedicated shop where this brand officially took off. Since then, he's been full-time, self-taught bladesmith, refining his designs one knife at a time. And I can kind of feel that small shop approach, and it's something you can immediately appreciate on these. These are the furthest thing from budget folders chasing the latest trend. They're actually really thoughtfully designed premium pieces that feel really special the moment you pick them up. I go through tons of knives in this hobby, and it's rare one ever stays in my collection for very long. But these are absolutely the exception to that, and I'm extremely happy to have added these to the rotation. So with all that background aside, let's jump into the first knife, the slip joint. So let's talk about this little slip joint first. And my immediate reaction to this little guy was like, whoa, this is tiny. In fact, this might actually be the smallest knife in my entire collection. I typically lean towards much larger knives, but this isn't a terrible thing here. Slip joints for me always felt more classy and sophisticated, so with this smaller size, it just kind of leans more into that delicate feeling. This isn't a knife I'm just going to drop in the pocket if I'm going out working in the garage or the yard. This is more reserved for maybe Sunday mass or evening dinners with my wife. This features a really nice titanium handle with these really nice and satisfying milling that just makes it feel really great in hand. But the craziest part of this handle is that it actually comes with a pocket clip. Now I don't know about you, but I feel like pocket clips on slip joints are extremely rare, so it's a very welcomed addition. Normally slip joints just ride in the bottom of my pocket or even in this terribly ugly little leather slip I made, so having a pocket clip here is a really nice surprise. Now moving on to the blade, this has a traditional half stop and a pretty satisfying snap when fully opened. We have a little Tonto blade of M390 that measures just under 2.5 inches, so with this being non-locking and under 3 inches, this should be legal almost everywhere. There's also a really nice stonewash finish on the blade here, so even though this is a little bit more of a premium carry, it should still be able to handle some serious cutting and should hide scratches and wear really well. And this is a really strong detent here, so even just pushing with it on my thumb, there's no give and it's a really strong lockup. Due to this really small size, this is more of like a 3-finger grip for me, but there is a lanyard hole here at the back that will definitely help you get some more grip. Don't get me wrong, this is a very small knife, but for some reason, I think it just kind of adds to the charm. It's kind of cute in a way, and I actually really like it. Its size makes it really easy to carry, and you forget it's even there, so it's a really big plus. So if you're looking for like a really classy carry for the office, church, date nights, or formal events, despite this small size, this guy is a big winner. These have a retail price of around $150, and looking at the premium materials here of titanium and M390, I think it's pretty fair. Now the one thing left to do is I still have to find a high quality little leather pocket sheath for this guy, as even though it has a pocket clip, I feel like this little guy is just crying out for maybe a matching black leather slip for some reason. So I'd love to hear some recommendations down in the comments below. Now let's imagine that this slip joint hit a really massive growth spurt as we're now upscaling quite a bit with this coffin frame lock. It's actually pretty funny because the blade here is actually the exact same size as a slip joint when closed, so we're definitely growing a bit here. And as much as I really love this slip joint, this one is just different gravy. We keep the same titanium handle and the same kind of coffin shape with the same milling, but instead we add these green micarta inlays, which just help really elevate this up a whole nother level. Titanium and micarta have always been one of my favorite combos, and it's really easy to see why. It just works extremely well here. And on the topic on the handle, one thing I forgot to mention with the slip joint earlier, I actually love having their logo on the pivot here. Normally I really kind of hate excessive branding like this. Think something like the Civivi logo on the pivot, but this logo is just so much more cooler, and I really don't mind it here. Now let's check out the blade. This is deployed by the flipper tab here at the back, and the action is seriously really smooth. There's tons of room on the flipper tab, and once you disengage the frame lock, it shuts closed very easily. I was honestly kind of impressed just how smooth the action was here, to be honest. I never really found frame locks in the past to be that fidgety, but this one kind of bucks that trend. We have a 2.7-inch blade of M390 again, and it has a Bowie blade shape. It just looks really mean. This aggressive blade shape paired with this unique handle shape just really give this knife kind of a tough appearance that really sets it apart from the rest. I just cannot say enough good things about this knife, and I absolutely love it. Due to the increased size and action, this one is a little bit more expensive as the slip joint we looked at earlier, and this actually comes in at double the price, as it currently has a retail price right now at the $300 mark. Now these knives are not cheap, no ways around it. Sure, they're made of premium materials like titanium and a higher tier steel of M390, so of course these weren't going to be $60 budget bangers. But at their current prices, again $150 for the slip joint and $300 for the frame lock, these are definitely at the higher end of the spectrum, especially compared to some other knives I normally feature on the channel. So is the value here? Are these worth the rather lofty price tags? I think it depends. If you're looking for a really great deal, a hard-working knife that will serve you well, and you just want the best performance for the money, then I'd say of course not. You can get yourself a Magna Cut folder like a Kershaw Bel Air or even a Hogue Deca for around $120, and you get really good performance for the price. But I don't think those knives kind of fit that category. These are going after a more premium market and clientele. If you want really good materials and a knife design that is extremely unique and just plain different, and more importantly, you want to experience something every time you pick it up, then these knives are for you. As I fall further and further down this crazy rabbit hole of everyday carry and production folders, it kind of continues to get harder for me to feel excited or passionate about a knife, and they've all kind of begun to blur together. Fortunately, knives like these come along to reignite that fire, and I absolutely love it. I know my channel revolves more around budget-focused gear, and these are anything but that. I just felt like these were too special not to share. Sometimes the gear that might not make the most sense financially, but makes you happy is definitely worth sharing. And that's kind of how I feel about these knives. Though it's not something I would carry every single day, the moments for when I reach for them and pull it out of the pocket, it just leaves me with a feeling, that same kind of feeling that I had when I first pulled out my first classic slip joint out of my pocket all those years ago when I was a kid. This hobby should be fun, and these two knives kind of help me remember that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down these in the comments below. Would this be something you'd carry? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.